Hey friend, welcome back to another pottery tutorial. So today for August, we are going to be doing a cappuccino mug and saucer set. So I'm really excited about this one. Let's get into it. First thing, of course, you just need to cut out all of your template pieces. And with this one, some of the template pieces do need to be assembled. So you're going to need to tape together C1 and C2. And then everything's ready to go. Exciting new thing about this template is I added a handle guide. This was something that folks were having a little bit of trouble with to get the right shape for the handle. And so this should really help you get your handle to look like how I make my handles. So we're going to be rolling out 2 different slab thicknesses today. We're going to start with a 1/2 centimeter slab. And with this 1/2 centimeter slab, we're going to cut out C1, C2, and C4. So this is going to be the body of our cappuccino cup. Once those are cut out, just set them aside. I like to put them on another wedging board, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in front of the fan to start firming up while I roll out the second slab. The second slab is going to be 1 centimeter thick, and this is for the 2 final pieces. This is going to be for the saucer and the handle. You can, of course, do the saucer and the handle also with 1/2 centimeter, but I really prefer them to be a little bit bulkier. They're just a little bit nicer, I think, when they are a bit thicker. Once those are cut out, just put those in front of the fan as well. Once they've firmed up a little bit, we're going to start with assembling the body of the mug. So I'm starting with the curved piece. This is C1, and you want to cut each side at a 45-degree angle. You want to score it and potentially add some slip. I added a little bit of water here and just attach it together. Now, in case this is the first one of my videos you're watching, just be aware that you don't need to make this seam perfect when you're first attaching it. In fact, it's better to let the seam kind of firm up a little bit before you work out that seam. So just get it attached, blend it a little bit, but then you just want to set it aside for now. Don't worry, we'll get back to it later. Now you want to repeat exactly with C2. We're just going to assemble these 2 parts before we attach them together. Okay, so now you want to make sure you're positioning your pieces so that they're as perfectly circular as you can get them. Now we're going to attach these 2 sides together. So what you want to do is score each side, and then also if you want to, add a little bit of slip or water here. This just depends on your clay. And then attach them. So this should line up nicely. Just make sure each part of the wall is attached, and then you can use gentle but firm pressure to push it down. So because these seams are kind of at a weird angle, it's at an open angle, you want to add a little bit of clay into that seam. So I'm just rolling out a little coil. This is about a pencil thickness. Actually, later on as I'm working this, I'll have wished I used a slightly thinner coil here. But this is also fine. It's just going to take a little bit more work to blend out this seam. So I know it looks kind of crazy right now, but it'll look better once we blended it. Okay, so one thing that really helps is add a little bit of water to the top of the seam, because this is going to loosen up the seam and make it easier to blend. That's what I'm doing there. And then I'm just going to take my rib, or you can use your fingernail or your finger, whatever you like, and blend each side of the coil into the body of the pot. Okay, so we've got a crazy looking blend here right now. This is what I mean by my coil was a little bit thick. Don't worry, we're going to let this seam firm up first before we finish blending that out. It's not good to overwork it when you've just added a bunch of water, so we're gonna let that rest for a minute, and meanwhile we're going to attach the bottom. So as you know, the bottoms are always a little bit bigger. This is so that you can attach them first and then cut them perfectly to size. So you want to set your pot on top of the base and trace around it, score where the base attaches, make sure you're scoring both sides, and then you just attach them together. You can add a little bit of slip or water if you need to. I think I dried out my pieces a little bit too much here, so that's why I'm using water. I don't typically use water when I'm making these attachments, but it is nice to use when you need it. So make sure you got a nice good attachment here. And now while I'm waiting for that seam to firm up, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this seam. So I'm going to scrape off all the extra clay that I didn't need to add and just work methodically. I really like to use a rib at a 90-degree angle to kind of scrape off all the extra clay and just work that seam in. Okay, meanwhile, the bottom is ready to go. So I'm just going to remove that and blend that seam. Okay, back to blending out this connection that we made here. On the plus side, using an extra thick coil here is going to make this seam stronger because we're blending more clay into the walls of the pot, so it's all good. And then I did have a few scoring marks on the inside, so what I like to do is just use a paintbrush with some water to smooth out those scoring lines. Ta-da! Okay, now it's time to add the handle. So if you want to have a handle like mine, I definitely recommend you use this shaping guide. This is just a really classic handle shape, but of course you can do whatever handle you like on your cappuccino. So to use this shaping guide, you want to bend the handle shape to match the guide. And if your clay is a little bit dry like mine was, you might need to blend out any cracks that appear. Don't worry, just smooth those out with your finger. And following the guide, you just want to cut the handle ends to follow the contours of the cup. Okay, now we're going to attach it. So what you want to do is hold your handle up to your mug, find a good spot where you like it, and then I like to just mark it with my needle tool so I know where to score. So I'm going to score both sides on the mug and also on the handle. And then you can use a little water or slip and press it into the mug. So check my left hand here. You definitely want to be supporting the inside of your mug as you attach the handle. You don't want to push into your mug without supporting that wall because you could mess it up. And then just blend it how you like it. So this entire pot, there's still blending and cleaning up that we need to do, but we're going to do that all tomorrow. So for now, just set it aside. And let's work on our saucer. So what we're going to do with the saucer today is we're simply going to turn up the edges. Now, if you're turning up the edge and it just flops back down again, that means your clay isn't quite dry enough. So you'll want to put that in front of the fan or, wait half an hour or something for your clay to firm up. It should be able to hold a rim here. I'm just going to smooth it out nicely. So that's all we're going to do today. You need to be patient with pottery. I mean, to have the tidiest pots, you want to be patient. So what I like to do always is put it under cloth overnight and let it firm up to leather hard. Depending on your studio situation, you might need to use plastic or you might just wait a few hours. It just depends on the humidity in your studio. I have a basement studio, so it's very humid. So just putting it under plastic and waiting until the next day is kind of perfect for getting to that leather hard stage. Now that it's leather hard, you can see it's holding its shape a lot better. So now it's easier to go in a little bit more aggressively and really smooth out any irregularities, any bumps, any nicks, anything that I don't want. I'm gonna go in with my rib or with my finger, and I'm just gonna smooth it all out. Now you just do this to the point that you're happy with it. You know, there's no right or wrong here. The glaze does also cover a variety of sins, so don't worry too much about making it perfect. And then once we're done with the mug, we're going to move on to our saucers. So here's where things get a little interesting. So one of the benefits of creating a slightly thicker saucer is you can actually add a little divot here. So I'm just positioning my mug right on top here, making sure it's nice and centered, and then I'll go ahead and trace around it with my needle tool so I know exactly where my cappuccino mug should be sitting. And then I'm going to take this little loop tool that normally you'd be using for trimming on the wheel, but this is really great for carving as well. So I'm just going to carve back some of this clay to make a little recess where my cappuccino mug can sit inside of. So cute. So that's all we're going to be doing for now. Now I'm going to go ahead and let it dry out, and then we're going to fire it. And here is our final result. I love this cappuccino mug so much. Actually, I hesitate to call it a cappuccino mug because this is also like a perfect tea mug, I think. I'm a huge tea drinker myself, so I really love to have these big, wide, generous mugs to have my tea in. It's just so cozy, and I hate to break it to you guys, but we're heading into autumn already. So this is a really wonderful project for the next months. I hope that you enjoyed. As always, this template will be linked down below in the description. Enjoy, and I'll be back next month with another video. In the meantime, you can find me over on my main channel at Pottery to the People, or over on Instagram, also at Pottery to the People. All right, bye friends.